Well, Daisy Ridley has confirmed that Rey is a different kind of master than Luke. A better one, I'm sure. Because that's how Disney does these things, doesn't it? Like, I mean, it's just clown world, isn't it? It's just like, there's no excitement for this movie anyway. And then they come out with these kind of statements in interviews, and you're like, mate, I'm actually impressed by how little hype you're generating. Like, everything you say makes it worse.
Yeah,
right? And it was at the bottom anyway. It was at the bottom of the barrel excitement. Now it's even worse.
Here's the problem, right? You have masters of like promotion, like Ryan Reynolds. He can promote a movie 3 years before it comes out, and he's masterful at it. And then you send, barely tolerable Daisy Ridley out there, being all like, trying to paddle a kayak in a puddle, and you don't have a lot of depth of love, for the franchise as it is now because of what she did through her actions, not necessarily because she wrote it, but because she was the character. She led everybody to grow to loathe or just become apathetic about the franchise. So sending her back out there to promote something nobody asked for well in advance of it being released is a bad idea. Why? Just tell her to shut up. You know what? Wait here.
Yeah.
There's this like 4-week period of time right before the movie comes out that you're allowed to talk. Otherwise, STFU.
Yeah. Well, let's see what she actually says. We're not going to play it. There's a little audio clip.
Oh.
But basically, so she's asked when we ask her whether Rey plans to take a different approach as a teacher to the next generation of Jedi than Luke did in the sequels. So it's like, are you going to be a different kind of teacher? Are you actually going to be successful? Because Luke was obviously a failure. She replies with a coy smile. I would say, from what I understand, yes. Short answer. So, okay, cool, fine. Excellent. Excellent stuff. And she also says these things. She says, it's very strange. I've gone off and done lots of different sort of films. I feel like I've learned a lot and grown a lot, I would hope, as an actor. And then says, I think it will feel like baby steps again, like sort of starting at the beginning. But yes, I'm very excited. So she is excited. But wait, there's more. This ain't just it, ladies and gents. Are there going to be Force Ghost jism babies? Probably not.
They're changing all this stuff now because we predicted it all or we called it all.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but also even worse, she hasn't even read the script. Where's the script? No one's got it. Who knows? Even though this has been in the works for years. No script. Nothing around. So let's have a look, right? Just honestly, this stuff's woeful. So in regards to what she's heard on the new film, which won't come out until 2026, Jon Favreau directed Mandalorian, Grogu, Star Wars movie goes first. Before that, says, literally what I know is what was announced last year. I'm waiting to read a script. So she knows nothing. She signed on to this without reading a script. Now that's really bad. Why is that really bad? Now, it's not abnormal, guys, for actors and actresses to sign on and not read a script, especially when it comes to Disney, right? That's not an abnormality because Disney obviously is very protectful of their scripts. They hide them. They're very secret, high levels of secrecy. But here's a situation where you're trying to protect your career. You're Daisy Ridley. You don't have a career. So obviously you're going to want to say, hey, let me read that script, right? I'm not signing on to anything until I read that script. She's got them in a bind then because they desperately want her to come back because for whatever reason, they think she's, got God's gift and as like a bloody golden laying goose up her arsehole or something. So she would read a script. She'd be able to read a script, but she signed on without reading a script, which is one of two things. She's desperate or she's an idiot. One of the two. She's desperate or she's an idiot.
Well, I think desperation's probably the case. I mean, she's not going to have a whole lot of roles in her life that are going to pay her well. This is one of them. Remember, John Boyega said you weren't going to Disney Plus me. I ain't coming back to Star Wars, and there's a decent chance we'll see him in this film. So there you go.
Yeah, and then she says, "Look, I know bits and bobs. I know there's an introduction of new characters. Obviously, I don't know about previous characters." And And I think that was it, to be fair. That's literally it. But she signed on to something without reading the script. There's not going to be forced babies. And she said, yeah. So she says, I would say probably she doesn't have children, considering she's a Jedi. Well, that doesn't mean anything in Disney's Star Wars. All right, Disney Star Wars, they can be anything these days. It doesn't matter. What do we think?
Look, my expectations for this were on the ground already. I mean, this is certainly not lifting them up. And the more we hear from these different sources, the worse it sounds. Plus, with a little bit of insight, we know that the script isn't done now. We know that there's a lot of stuff going on out there that could make it so this film doesn't happen. In fact, the audience is with me. I don't think this thing shows up in 2026. I don't think it gets done by then. I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
Go on, Tom.
Tom's dead.
I know you tried.
I tried.
I was unmuted for the longest time. Then you
we played it actually before you got on.
I figured as much, and then you probably that's why everybody was like,
are
you dead?
You'd be disappointed if I didn't, surely.
Maybe. But as far as this thing, I think this thing is in constant flux. I think that we know what all that stuff that leaked out has been true, because this thing has been in the work for so long and has gone through so many hands that how can it not have leaked out already, right? Like everything we've been hearing leads up to the same things. It's like, well, no, they're not doing this, but then it's like, well, yeah, they are, but now that's going to be this instead. So again, this just to me feels like they're trying to play catch up with the news, right? Because WDW Pro and all those guys were way ahead of this. In fact, I think they were the first ones with the scoops.
Yeah,
that Daisy Ridley was coming back,
and was going to be at Celebration.
Mikey Sutton might even have been one who said something back in the day before he sadly passed too, as well. Because for some reason I want to say he did. So like, and we've been hearing a lot of this stuff. The Force Baby Ghost thing. I'm not surprised that was an initial part of the idea. And if they're shifting gears, then like I said, it's all because they're trying to get ahead of the audience, and they're not going to be able to. This thing is going to be an unmitigated disaster. This is going to be worse than Solo. And there's even at least people who are accepting of Solo, and they're like, "Oh, it's not as bad as I thought." No, it's as bad as you thought it was. It's just better than all the other crap that Disney put out there. That's the difference. Solo is still a horrible film. They have not made one good Star Wars movie. And before somebody says Rogue One, rewatch it. It's Inglourious Bastards in space with a horrible ending. And it doesn't make any sense or match up really at the end of the day, because Vader is not the same character, and all this other stuff that's going on doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that being said, Star Wars is a mess. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to go see this. Rey does not have the following that they're trying to pretend in the back of their minds that they think she does, right? It's all Kathleen Kennedy's delusion. Absolutely nobody is invested in this character. They're never going to make another character that's as successful as Luke Skywalker. I mean, hands down, there's nobody. And I mean, nobody as far as the main characters go.
Jason Solo.
They could have. It's too late, though.
Yeah.
It's too late now, culture. They've screwed the pooch. The chance to do this went out the window with The Force Awakens. They still actually had a little bit to build on from there, but it was already, like most people will say, it was destroyed at that moment. And I can't disagree. Yeah. For better or worse, some of us will go back to the prequels. Bless George, but there was issues then. To me, Star Wars is 3 movies, always has been, always will be. Sorry. And as far as Daisy Ridley goes, I mean, I've heard her say some of the stupidest crap I've ever heard somebody say.
Yes.
She's sitting here, and I don't know if that's in this article too, where she was saying again about how the offers dried up after Star Wars, and she was expecting to be in all these movies. It's like, well, first of all, you were making a movie back to back to back to back, basically. So when did you have too much time outside of the time you did have to shoot a movie or two in between there, which she did. And then the first time she said this crap was during COVID. And I'm like, nobody is working right now. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and this is the most tone deaf time ever for an actress to say, well, I just can't seem to get any roles. I'm like, well, you know what? There's individuals who lost their jobs and their businesses shut down and everything else who really could give a crap about you and your next role. Like, it's just so ridiculous. But I mean, here she is again, jumping right back on the Star Wars train. She's going to make sure she's going to get a big payday. We already know what she's being paid. We all know that she's not worth that much money, but it's because it's a Star Wars movie, honey. That's why she's getting it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, and the escalator clauses that are built into your contract
that too, yeah.
pretty consistent. So, well, it is what it is.
It's too bad that, I was gonna say, it's too bad Nick didn't get to stick around to say more about this because I'm sure he had.
I know, yeah. Well, yes. Sorry, Nick. But yeah, there you go. I mean, like at the end of the day, this is going to be an unmitigated disaster. I say every single time I speak about this film will go down in history as one of the worst entries to a franchise in terms of critical reception, fan reception, box office. It's going to be awful because the writing's on the wall. Like it's done. You know, it's endemic in society now. Star Wars is just generally a bit shit. You've watered it down. You've cheapened it out. You've put it on bloody streaming for God knows how long now. It's garbage. People aren't going to be interested. So there you